Hello, welcome, and thank you for again zooming into the void with the Danville Science Center for the month of December 2020, presented by Danakid Associates. I'm Ben Wright, Immersive Experiences Coordinator for the Danville Science Center, and your host for our tour of the night sky for December 2020. As always, our virtual online interstellar discussion is being simultaneously broadcast to Zoom and Facebook Live. Our discussion is interactive. If you are joining us through Zoom, you can send your questions or comments directly to me using the chat with host feature there within Zoom. And if you're joining us via Facebook, you can submit your questions below this live feed. At the end of our tour, I will go back and attempt to respond to some of those questions. Now we begin, as we always do, outside of the Digital Dome Theater in the backyard of the Danville Science Center. Here we are facing the southern sky. And if we step back a few steps, we can see that to our right is the west, to our left is the east, meaning north is directly behind us. Looking at our clock in the corner, we can see it's just a couple minutes past noon on the 8th of December, 2020. If we continue our gaze upward, we might be able to just spot our moon making an appearance during daylight. Today's moon is 23 days old, displaying just a slight sliver of dimming light in the waning crescent phase. Despite appearances, our moon is not a true circle, but rather is rather slightly elongated, like an egg, in a shape known as a scaling ellipsoid. Returning back to base and fast forwarding to just after midnight, we can spot another shape pretending to be a circle by connecting the dots between several prominent stars. Begin by making out the familiar shape of Orion the Hunter by finding the 1, 2, 3 stars that make up his belt. In Orion's right leg is the giant red star Rigel. If we continue our gaze up, if we connect the dots and continue our gaze upward, we can find the fiery red eye of Taurus. One moment, stellarium, technical, gotta love that. We'll try Taurus the Bull. Taurus is part of the zodiac constellation, a special set of, part of the zodiac, a special set of 12 constellations that follow our orbit path, as well as the orbit path of the other 12 planets in our, nope, way off now. Start over. Still, here we go. There is our night sky. For today, we're again going to travel to just after midnight. And we can connect between Rigel of Orion, the fiery red eye of Taurus, Aldebaran, continue up into the left, and we can find the star Capella. Capella is the 6th brightest object in the night sky, following our moon, Venus, and several other bright lights. If we continue our gaze around down and to the left about the same distance as Aldebaran, we can find Pollux, part of the twin constellation stars that make up Gemini, the twins, another part of the zodiac. Continuing further down, we find the dog stars, Procyon and Sirius, that make up Canis Major and Canis Minor, the faithful hunting companions of Orion. The winter circle is a great place to find lots of objects. In addition to these stars, we can actually see a faint hint of our Milky Way. The Milky Way sort of looks, you may or may not be able to see it there on your screen, fading in and out here on the edge. It looks like a bit of a blur. That's why it gets its name, Milky Way. It looks like spilt milk on the sky. The Milky Way, the visible Milky Way is the part of our galaxy that we can see. A galaxy is the largest grouping of space objects. It wasn't until April of last year that astronomers had a clear picture of what might power galaxies, the possible death of a star. What makes a star is the fusing of elements in its core, giving off radiation energy. The star exists so long as this energy is balanced with the gravity that holds the star together. As stars age, however, they begin using up the fuel in their cores. Once depleted, a star can collapse in on itself in a massive implosion so dense that not even light can escape it. We call these stellar implosions black holes. The winter circle contains one of the nearest black holes to our solar system, an object called V616 Monastery. It's easy to say, isn't it? At 3,000 light years away, this black hole is relatively small at a size of 6 times that of our sun. It is located behind Orion within the bounds of Monoceros, meaning single-horned in Greek, which you may recognize more as a unicorn. Taking a picture of a black hole is about as easy as taking a picture of a unicorn, given their ability to capture light. Black holes, not unicorns. However, capturing the light around a black hole, known as the event horizon, is possible. Astronomers released the first ever image of the event horizon of a black hole in April of 2019, seen here. Some people believe that unicorns once walked the earth. They're in the Bible after all, but perhaps unicorns are still around, maybe really good at hiding. Hiding is something that even planets occasionally do. When one object in space is hidden by another object in space, the event is called occultation. The lunar occultation of Venus will occur this Saturday afternoon, beginning around 2:30, and will last about an hour. At the time, the moon will be 27 days past a new moon and will only be 5% illuminated. Venus will disappear behind the illuminated side of the moon and reappear from behind the unilluminated side about an hour later. This is all true if you live in the Northeast United States. For those of us here in Virginia, we will be extremely lucky if we're able to view this event given the moon's large parallax. Since the moon is much closer to the Earth than other celestial objects, its exact position in the sky differs depending on your exact location. The position of the moon, as seen from 2 points on opposite sides of the Earth, varies by up to 2 degrees or 4 times the diameter of the full moon. For something much easier to spot, we again return our gaze to the winter circle and back to the area of Monoceros. The Monastery meteor shower peaks tonight. These showers, this as well as remnants of the northern Taurids and the winter Oranids, will send just a few bursts of light across our night sky as they are minor meteor showers. However, to see something truly spectacular, perhaps the best shower of 2020, we need to travel to just after midnight at the start of this coming Monday morning to view this year's Ganymedes shower. This December's Ganymedes are anticipated to produce around 120 meteors an hour when Gemini is at its zenith. An object's zenith is when it reaches the highest point in its daily journey across the sky. The Ganymedes are named such given their radiant or apparent point of origin resides within the constellation Gemini. The shower should be visible at any point in the night so long as Gemini is above the horizon. Your chance to view the Ganymedes will continue for the following 3 nights until December 18th when the shower moves past visibility. Yet another significant stargazing event will occur the night of the 16th. If we go ahead and journey to the 16th, just after the sun has set and gaze into the western part of the sky, let's see, the sun just about to set, you can follow it and gaze above the moon. You may spot what appears to be 2 bright lights together in the sky. These are not stars at all, but rather are the gas giants Saturn and Jupiter. The apparent close approach of stellar objects is known as a conjunction. The planetary conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter occurs about every 20 years. But this year, Saturn and Jupiter will be closer to each other than they have been since the year 1623, 13 years after the invention of the telescope. The planets will appear to be just 0.1 degrees apart, which is still too far apart to capture both in the view of a standard telescope. Your best chance at viewing the Grand Conjunction is with your naked eyes. Viewing nightly objects with your eyes or with tools like telescopes or binoculars is actually easier this time of year. The sun is positioned in its lowest trajectory across the sky. This results in more hours of darkness each night and colder weather. Colder air has a more difficult time holding on to hazy moisture than does warmer air. Winter literally produces longer, clearer nights for star watching. Stars may or may not be what you are most excited about to watch this time of year. Millions of people watch the skies on the night of December 24th for the annual journey of Santa Claus from the North Pole to homes around the world. To assist in this endeavor, NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, has been tracking Santa's trip for the past 60 years. Using a combination of low-orbit satellites, humans, military jets, and terrestrial cameras, NORAD tracks St. Nick from his first stop in the South Pacific until his last in South America. You can follow along and see when Santa will be visiting your home by visiting noradsanta.org. The predictable reliability of Santa is about as predictable as technical difficulties. And the next segment in our tour, each time we view, this is the part where we get to our viewing of the night sky, when you can present questions or comments. Again, if you are doing so, if you are joining us via Zoom, you can use the chat with host feature there in the corner, or if you are on Facebook, you can submit your questions or comments below this live feed. Thank you, Vivian. Vivian says, cool. And hello, really appreciate that. We also have a question. Our first question comes from Landon, who asks about the Christmas star. He says, what is the Christmas star? Well, I'm guessing, Landon, I've seen some news about that lately. What you might be referring to is there is in the Gospel of Matthew, the Christmas story, there was a group of ancient magi. Magi were ancient star watchers. They would watch the star and make predictions or interpret them, much like we're doing here today. These wise men saw a star appear that led them to what they believed to be the savior of the world. Some folks are saying that what these people may have seen was a bright light that usually doesn't appear and appears extremely bright at different times, big spans of time, say like the conjunction of Saturn or Jupiter. So some folks are making the smart, educated guess that this bright light may be what is referred to in this Christmas story. It might be the case. And that's not uncommon. People often mistake planets for stars. In fact, often the first star you'll see throughout the year is actually the planet Venus. It is the third brightest object in the sky next to our moon and sun. Next question comes from Madison. Madison asks, what is your favorite planet? Conveniently enough, my favorite planet, I think, is Venus, just because it is so drastic. Even though Venus isn't the closest planet to the sun, it is the hottest planet because it has a thick atmosphere that traps in heat. It's covered with sulfur, and if there is possible life on Venus, I think that would be pretty amazing. Folks who study possible life out in space are called astrobiologists, and they look at extreme places here on Earth to see what life is like there, say like sulfur pits on the bottom of the ocean, to see what life may be like on, say, the sulfuric environment of Venus. So I think that'd be pretty neat and pretty cool job. And our last question comes from Alexis. Alexis asks, wasn't there a space launch recently, a rocket launch? Yes, there was. SpaceX, again, launched another resupply mission to the ISS this weekend. fairly standard procedure, but what was of note of this is part of this launch was it was on a rocket, the Falcon rocket, that was its 5th time going to space and returning. This is why it's sort of interesting that more scientists, some companies are working on ways of sending spacecraft to space and back. That's why it's so expensive to go to space, because a lot of times you can't reuse stuff. This is an example that could be done, which could make space travel more accessible to folks like you and me. Maybe even you one day will be able to take a vacation on the moon or Mars. We'll see. If only the future can tell. And speaking of the future, we are so glad you joined us here in the present, but we hope you will again join us in the future for next month's virtual online interstellar discussion, the first void of 2021. That will be on the second Tuesday of January 12th. Until then, as always, we hope that you stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, and of course, stay curious. Until next month, thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.